Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the vortex and molecularly disseminated to episode number 391. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn. Although I thought we cellularly disseminated.
You say potato, I say potato.
How you guys doing?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Good. I watched a movie this week.
What'd you watch?
I watched Battle of the Sexes, the movie with Emma Stone and
Steve Carell
about the Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King match.
How was it?
Good. It was pretty good.
They played tennis, right?
Yeah, they played tennis. Steve Carell does an incredible Bobby Riggs. Really, really good. That was probably the best part of it. And Emma Stone does really good too. I kind of did some background reading about it. And they've, obviously taken some romantic liberties with the film, as far as, her relationship with another woman. But yeah, I could see why they went the way they did. But it's good. I really enjoyed it.
You watch anything, Sean?
I rewatched Ready Player One.
How was it the second time?
Just as good. Just frustrating that I couldn't catch everything. In fact, if you follow...
You own it now?
I do own it now.
You watch as many times as you want?
I can.
Freeze frame it and just slowly watch frame by frame.
If you...
click through and find the TARDIS in that
if you
background.
follow
I
us
had
on
no
Facebook,
idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea
just
until you
watched
posted it.
And then it was like, oh. Look what somebody else found that wasn't me. I mean, realistically, we knew it had to be in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
It was cool to have confirmation. And then I went back and popped the movie in just to make sure that wasn't like a doctored up screen grab. But nope, it's actually there.
It's actually there.
It looked like a picture of a screen grab.
That's what it looks like, yeah. Somebody probably paused their Blu-ray and went up with their phone and snapped a picture. Yeah.
I didn't watch anything this week because Gemma has started walking.
Oh.
So
You're watching her walk.
Yeah. And she is
watching her get into everything.
Yes. She has gone from...
Goodbye, leisure time. No more doing this while the baby's in the room.
Yeah. She's gone from what we call drunkenly walking to being pretty sturdy.
Oh, wow.
In just a couple of days. So, she is all over the place now.
Up and mobile.
Yep.
I can't believe she's that big already.
I know. It's crazy.
Anything else? I'm listening to a podcast, by the way, which I would highly recommend. It's not Doctor Who related. It's called Slow Burn. The first season they did last year was pretty much kind of the history of Watergate. This season they're doing the history of the Monica Lewinsky scandal. If you like political scandal stories, like kind of condensed and well done. In fact, you can subscribe to their premium cast and you get more content. But I'm just listening to the 8 episodes, I think, in each season. And it's really informative and really good. Stuff I didn't... I mean, I knew a little bit about Watergate, but it tells you a lot of stuff that I didn't know. So it's pretty good. Highly recommend it.
I do need to throw out a thank you to whoever it was that turned me on to Welcome to Night Vale. I did start listening to that finally. And I've enjoyed it. I'm only about 6 episodes in, I think. But
nice. It's
very good.
Well, while you're looking for those podcasts that we've just plugged, why don't you go look for ours if you're not already listening to it on a your own subscription. If you're listening through it to the website or if you listen to it in other means, you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcast, the Google Play Store, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Player FM.
And if you like what you hear, give us a review on those platforms.
Please do.
Please.
In fact, if you're on the iTunes store, we highly recommend that you give us a review there because that we can really gauge some feedback there. So if you haven't given us a rating there, definitely on the iTunes or the Apple Podcast store. But yeah, any of the ones that allow you to rate us, we'd appreciate it.
Definitely.
Cool. Should we move on to some news?
Let's. Quite a bit of news this week. London Comic-Con happened over the past weekend, and there's been some great photos of Christopher Eccleston meeting Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi and being very genial and friendly towards them all, which is very nice to see.
And let's be honest, up until this point, could have gone either way.
It It was either going to be no picture at all or a friendly picture. Let's be honest.
I think they certainly don't have any issue
With each other.
With each other, yeah.
No reason.
No reason whatsoever. Eccleston, shared some of his displeasure about working on the show, but he's certainly at least being gracious to fans and reaching out to them, and then obviously with fellow actors. It's been pretty cool to see them all together.
And doing a Comic-Con.
Which
Which Eccleston hadn't been doing yet. It's really much at all. Was this his first one, or is this his
No,
third one?
I think I saw he had done another one or two earlier, but that's definitely a big one, though. So.
Yeah. Well, with all 4 modern Doctors there, I mean...
This is probably the first time all 4 have been together from the new series.
Absolutely.
Jodie was probably on her way back from San Diego. So.
Yeah. I guess we should say the first 4.
The first 4?
First 4 modern Doctors.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Because
she does count now.
She's a doctor.
She has been in an episode
She has
already.
been in an episode, so.
Does that mean you're not counting John Hurt?
No, I count him as a classic Doctor.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for making me sad, Sean. Other news. Amazon has posted a pre-order for the Wheel in Space DVD on the U.S. account. $24.98. You can pre-order.
$24.98. What a weird number. They've gone all Walmart on us.
Hey, that 1 penny is going to make a difference.
You want to make sure you get it cheaper than you do at Barnes & Noble pre-ordering. I don't know if it's on Barnes & Noble. But
I don't think it is.
Probably not.
They don't have a release date or anything, but you can get free shipping if you're a Prime member.
They always make sure to put that on there.
It's not on the UK's Amazon site.
What do you guys think? Do you think this will be the BritBox version that they put out?
I think so.
It's interesting too that the photo that they've used for it's not a picture of the DVD cover. It's square, so I assume it's not a picture of the DVD cover. But it looks like it would fit in with that line of
well,
DVD
that's just
covers.
it. It looks like it could be the American artwork.
The bottom half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even the UK artwork, the top half is just a different design, right?
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
They just have
different
theirs is cropped more like that, and then has the roundels with Doctor Who in the top.
Ours would just have the
Ours
Starfield
has a
continuing.
full,
yeah. Although I am a little surprised that it's not on the UK version, because if it's going to be the BritBox Recon, which is US exclusive, the UK I would think, need access to it somehow.
That's true.
I'm not aware of it streaming anywhere in the UK, so
maybe they just haven't put it on the UK store yet.
Maybe
they're holding out hope that it's being animated.
Maybe they're waiting for an actual release date to put it on the UK store.
Maybe it's been animated and they just haven't announced it yet. Amazon sees all.
Yeah, right.
Who knows? In other news, the BBC have announced a new book coming out in September called The Women Who Lived, and it's going to be a collection of stories. Of course, this helps celebrate the 13th Doctor coming up, but it's focusing all on different female characters throughout the Doctor's life. I think it's mostly new series.
I thought you were going to tell me it's the further adventures of Lady Me and Clara.
No, but there is a Clara story, so maybe it is. Who knows? It's Amazing Tales for Future Time Lords is what it's called.
Cool.
So you can look for that, and maybe we'll get that on the Goodreads Book Club as the book of the month at some point.
Pretty gorgeous cover too.
Yeah, it is pretty. The Big Finish has announced the War Master returning for a new volume called The Master of Callus.
And this is
Derek
Jacobi returning.
Which will feature the Ood in it.
Cool.
So that's exciting. I haven't got a chance to listen to the first volume yet, but I have no doubt that it is fantastic. And there's a trailer you can go listen to for Series 2.
Oh, I'll put a link in the description.
Yes, please do. And the last bit of news, if you're in the UK, BBC Studios and Escape Hunt have announced that there are going to be Doctor Who themed live escape rooms appearing across the UK in December.
Only in the UK?
Only in the UK. Who knows, maybe if they're successful enough, they'll port them over here.
Knows.
There's a lot of who knows in this new segment. Can you tell?
I would love to see those come here.
Wouldn't
I think
that
those
be
would be really
awesome?
popular. I mean, they're escape room. I think surely escape rooms are huge everywhere, but they're really popular right now in the U.S.
Even if it's just the bigger cities, like going to Kansas City to do it, would be totally
Omaha.
worth it.
That's
Yeah.
what we
Wichita.
should do
New York.
for our next convention appearance.
Do an escape room.
We'll do the Great Trivia Contest, the Great Traveling Vortex Quiz Show. But we're going to lock you in a closet first. And in order to get out, you got to answer them.
Oh yeah, it's not exactly an escape room, but sure. That's
It's
just
an escape room if we leave you in there.
that's just locking people in a closet and asking them trivia questions. But well, yeah, I'm
You
willing
say
to revamp.
potato, I say potato.
Cool.
So if any of our listeners does one of these escape rooms, please let us know how it is and what it's like, because
definitely.
I can't wait to hear more about it.
And we want to take notes.
No, we don't, because I don't want it spoiled. And this is how you get out. No!
I already told you. You answer all my questions. That's how you get out.
That's it for news. Shall we move on to feedback?
Let's do.
Our first bit of feedback comes from Holly.
Holly writes, Dalek Master Plan episodes 3 through 5. Hey guys, the action is picking up and Chen is still doing his worst and wanting to overthrow the Daleks. To quote a certain Jedi Master, this is not going to end the way you think. And it looks like the Daleks may have the advantage with how episode 5 ends. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts and listening to the next block in the Daleks Master Plan. Holly from Wisconsin. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
And bonus points for a Last Jedi reference.
Yeah.
Very good. Well,
Shall we?
people want to reach us. How do they do that?
Yeah, so you can go, while you're on our website doing other stuff, you can fill out the Send Us Feedback tab, or you can just send it directly to feedback@travelingthevortex.com. You can also reach out to us on any form of social media.
All right, let's move on to our review.
The Devil's Planet. The Doctor and his friends escape Kimball in the starship, but the Daleks force them down on the planet Desperus, where they are threatened by a group of convicts.
Bum, bum, bum.
I'm still really enjoying the story so far.
Yeah, and you know what I mean about, suddenly the trappings of the first few episodes are moved aside for new trappings and new locations and new places, which I think also helps to keep it fresh.
It keeps it moving.
While we're continuing with the thread of running from the Daleks, trying to warn Earth, and now we have the Tranium, and we're trying to, get back and basically thwart Mavic Chin's plans and warn Earth that the Daleks are coming. There's another location we get sent to. They end up sidetracked and landing, nearly crash landing on the planet of Desperus. There's another silly Terry Nation and his wonderful creativity in planet Desperus.
Why do you think they called it Desperus?
Landing on planet Desperus.
No, I'm serious. Why?
Picking up the stowaway, per se. I thought that the thing that I liked about that is it starts off with this guy. Well, obviously there's more going on, but when we meet the convicts that are on the planet, start out with this guy who's trying to steal the knife from the guy who's obviously the head of this convict clan. And he's pretty much thwarted. The guy's like, oh, yeah, you really want the knife so you can lead, blah, blah, blah. And the dude's like, you're like, oh, man, you feel a little bad for him because you're like, oh, this poor guy, he wants to be leader, He just wants the knife so he can be leader. The guy with the knife is the leader, Anyway, so you think that the main, the head guy, the head honcho, is probably like the big baddie, Oh, he's the one we're going to have to deal with. And the interesting thing is he and his buddy go off after the Spar lands, and they're sneaking up to it. And, of course, the Doctor and Katrina, while Stephen and Brett are trying to get the ship, prepped and ready to go again, fixed so they can take off, the Doctor comes up with this great plan of lowering this power cord down into the marsh at the bottom of the ladder when Katrina notices that they're coming, and plugging it into a power outlet. And when they get to the end of the ramp or staircase or however they're going to get in, we don't see it in the TV version, but when they get to the bottom of it, it's getting zapped. You know? It's very clever. And so those guys are dispatched. And you're like, and I immediately, the first time I saw this, I had completely forgotten about the other guy that was trying to take the knife.
Afraid of the giant bats.
Yeah, he was. He was freaking out about the bats. And
justifiably, those things were huge.
They were huge. And then, he's the one that manages to get on the ship and take Katrina captive, which I thought, whoa, okay, didn't expect that. That was
it feels like such a detour, but it feels like it's also an important detour. Because it feels so out of the blue, but the fact that we only stay with it for like essentially one episode and a little bit of the next makes it a little more refreshing than why are we here and what are we doing?
I think they could have easily said, hey, we're doing a 12-part story and dragged it out. Just dragged it out. But by cleverly, Terry Nation so far, I say that because Dennis Spooner's going to pick up pretty soon, but Terry Nation so far is, really doing some different things. Now, granted, you could argue that he sort of did this with The Chase, where we went to various locations, but it really felt, to me, The Chase felt like there wasn't enough thread. Like, they were just running from the Daleks. There was not a lot going on.
Yeah.
This, at least, now, maybe he's learned from that, he's cobbled together a really good, solid thread to pull these stories all together. Trying to warn Earth, again, taking the Terranium. And so I think he makes it work in this way. Even though we're diverted to a planet that's completely... And then turn around and divert it to another planet that's completely... But the mechanism to get them there, I thought was clever.
Yeah. I would argue, unlike The Chase, which for me has always just felt like a chase. It's just a big chase. Yeah, we're going to go to different planets and have little mini adventures. But ultimately, we've got to get out of here before the Daleks show up. Okay. This is Keys of Marinus.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think the through line is better with this one so far than it was with Keys.
He did write Keys.
Because Keys just felt like, well, we're done with that. Let's go have a trial. What? But this one so far is...
I think the pacing makks a big difference. The pacing in Keys of Marinus isn't as well thought out, I don't think. Because it's a couple of episodes, one episode, a couple of episodes, and you skip over whole sections of the overall plot because we got to get to the next area, and we skip over getting a whole key on it. And
it would be the equivalent of watching Key to Time and going, we already had that segment. What?
Yeah, exactly. Or sending Romana off to go get a segment off camera because that's what they do in Marinus.
I think that's why I don't like it, actually.
Probably. You want to see it all the way through.
I want to see from beginning to end. Yeah. I think you're right. Did anybody else, when they were on when the convicts showed up and you just want the knife, anybody else think that this may have been a purposeful callback to Unearthly Child?
I thought the same thing. I had a very Cave of Skulls feel to it.
This is a good knife.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Of course, the hair, I think, makes a difference. That was very caveman hair and beard. And it's not until Brett explains what's going on that I'm like, so it's not caveman.
Yeah,
all right.
I had a moment where I went, oh, okay. You're not just repeating things for the sake of repeating.
I don't know what I think about having a prison planet where you just dump the prisoners off and take off.
Isn't that what they did with Australia?
Well, it's basically it's pretty much the same thing.
Space Australia.
It's a very big sci-fi trope. Escape up on the island and let them go.
You've been convicted, and now you're sentenced to, you're staying here. Bye.
You're on your own to survive. Yep. So, part of me feels like, overall, it seems like Terry Nation's really grown as a writer compared to, the Daleks and spending a whole episode crossing a chasm.
Yeah.
And the pace we're moving through things in this is just almost breakneck speed. I really wonder if that wasn't an add-on. Like, he just wrote, and then they come across this unpassable chasm. And the prop department took him literally and built this thing and invested a lot of money on it. And then they were like, what do you mean it was going to be resolved quickly? No, we spent X number of dollars.
And you only wrote 6 episodes. We needed 7.
So now you're going to have to fill.
You have to wonder, though, how much of that... Was it Douglas Canfield that directed that? No. Who directed the Daleks? Was that Wars? No.
No, Wars just the
wasn't
first
Wars.
one.
Maybe it was Canfield.
Anyway... you got to wonder how much of that was, exhibition and padded out,
Yeah.
So because, the script may have been, I'm sure Terry did not write 4 pages of crossing a cavern. I have a feeling some of that
This
maybe
person
was
takes a
padded
turn,
out.
and then this person takes a turn.
Right. So,
There's a lot of, and then they fight.
yeah, and then they fight. So, yeah, you have to give him credit for that. But I would agree that I think he's a lot more polished now by this time.
Christopher Barry and Richard Martin did the
That's
Daleks.
right. So you have to admit that he does seem a lot more polished, especially as far as telling a long form story where you've got to drag it out. You've got to figure out how to, spread this out into 12 parts. He's finally gotten it right, in my opinion. What a bold choice, and I suspect that this wasn't all Terry Nation's doing, but what a bold choice not only to kill off one companion at the beginning of a story, but another quasi companion by the end of the story.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the episode of death.
It was the episode of death, and that shocked me. And as sad as it seems, and maybe it's because I wasn't as attached to Brett Vion immediately because I listened to this my first time through, but even knowing that it was Nicholas Courtney, but it seems like I should be more upset. But I don't feel like, I think Brett Zion's a great character. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a well built character for the role in this story, but I don't feel the sadness that I think I should for that being Nick Courtney and that character having died so soon in this series. I mean, we're only 4 episodes. Well, if you count Mission to the Unknown, we're 4 in, but we're 4 episodes in, and
well, he died at the end of
5.
Okay, so 6 episodes in. Then. No, 5. Are we counting a mission?
Yes.
Okay, then yes, 5 episodes
6.
in. Anyway, can't be 6 because we're not halfway. We're not at the halfway point. Oh, I guess we would be. No, we're not.
Well, we're
we're not because
episode 4 of the Dalek Master Plan.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Plus 0.
So I was right. Okay.
No, you were saying 3.
No, I was right. So, but anyway, to die this soon. I kind of wish. I sort of feel like I should be more torn about that, but I'm not.
See,
maybe knowing what I know too, kind of
knowing that he gets to come back as the Brig.
Well, maybe that, and maybe knowing that there's a character that I end up liking better. So.
Oh, okay. See, I almost have the reverse reaction. I was sadder about, the moment with Katarina was sad. I didn't get to know her well enough to feel attached to her.
Right. No, I
agree. I automatically felt the attachment to Brett because it was Nicholas Courtney.
It's Nick, yeah.
So I was sad to see him go because I really enjoy him as an actor, and
And you guys weren't aware that he bites it that soon, right?
No idea.
I didn't know he died at all.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Katarina to die this early.
I thought we talked. Maybe it's been so long
that could be
it escaped your minds, but I thought we'd talked about it one time.
Well, the way my brain works, it's all new to me anyway. So, yeah, no, I didn't realize. First of all, I didn't realize he was in it, even as he showed up. And then I started listening to him, like really listening to him, and I went, "Oh, that's Nick Courtney." Okay. And so I was looking forward to having this grand Nick Courtney adventure.
Oh.
And no, I was pretty devastated. You had warned us that Katarina not to get used to her, so I kind of suspected that, well, all right, she's probably going to
Did you expect her death as soon as
Not that quickly.
Not that soon.
I really figured, if you tell me somebody's going to die in a Dalek episode, I kind of figure it's going to be by the Daleks, really.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I could see her getting gunned down and been like, oh, well, okay, there it was. No, some random guy who doesn't... So
what a way to go.
Yeah. What do we... And I
so
can
do you
see
think
that
she actually did it on purpose? Or do you think it was an accident?
I think she pushed the button.
I think so, too.
That's the interesting thing about it, because as I was saying, I don't know that you could credit Terry Nation with saying, hey, I'm going to kill this character. I have a feeling that probably the powers that be said, hey, this isn't really working out. Maybe we find another companion later. We kind of, and I think they knew that Terry had Sarah Kingdom coming later, and kind of felt like we might get into crowded TARDIS syndrome. Maybe, and
if we
and
had
decided,
the TARDIS.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
But and sort of figured, well, we should sacrifice one or the other. So The other thing that I think with Brett Vion's death is I sort of wonder, because this is over the period of time where first the Terry Nation is trying to get the BBC to do a Daleks series. And he's shopping the Daleks overseas to the U.S. to be a Dalek series. And in fact, we know a lot of this story is supplanted from ideas that he was using to pitch a space security service in the U.S. What did we decide was not the Defenders, the Destroyers. And I wonder if at this point he decided that he really liked the character of Sarah Kingdom that he had developed for this, but maybe he had already been shut down in that progress, and so decided, well, I'll bring her into this story now here for this Doctor Who serial. I don't know. I'm speculating here. But.
So according to TARDIS Wiki, here's some interesting stuff. When he wrote the story, he was under the impression that Vicky was still part of the main cast. So if she were, she would have been the one killed off in the Traitors, not Katarina.
Ooh.
So it sounds like it was Terry's idea.
So he had that written. He just ended up having to
swap out characters.
It out, yeah.
And then there were no plans to make Katarina a main companion, as it felt that there was that a character from the past who needed everything explained to her would be a burden.
And then we turned around and did it 20 years later.
Yeah.
I did it earlier now. We had Jamie.
Yeah, but she really didn't have to do a lot of explaining to Jamie.
Only initially.
If you look at it, yeah. And obvious with the Highlanders, he's not expected to become a recurring companion. See, and plus it's set in Scotland back in the past. The next one, I think if you watch, was it Underwater Menace is the next one?
Yeah. That's right.
He catches on really quick in that, and then even more so once we get to the moon base. So you didn't spend a lot of time explaining things to him. He was very keen and caught on to things fast and just kind of went with it, So I would disagree that they had to do that. Now with Leela, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of the Doctor explaining to Leela.
Even not a lot with Victoria.
No, not so much.
Maybe
with
a little
Victoria.
bit more than with
We
Jamie.
don't know so much about maybe Evil. There was, but Evil.
Yeah.
Although
of course there was a lot of her missing.
I don't think
stories.
there was for Victoria either, and I think probably the reason behind that is because of the fact that her father was a scientist.
Yeah.
And so she probably already had a little bit of experience with things that were in awe to her, and so things even grander than that probably she was able to take easier.
It was just bigger science.
Yeah.
And probably the same thing with Jamie coming from a later time frame. He was able to adapt a little bit more versus a character that's from so far back.
Right.
There's a
where
lot
everything
more
is
to
magic.
Yeah.
Although Leela's technically from the future, she just her tribe de-evolved.
Leela works though because of Tom.
Yeah,
Tom likes to explain things, so it made perfect sense that this is the opportunity to do that now.
But this makes sense why they dispatched his character so quickly, because if he thought that he was killing off Victoria or Vicky,
he must have thought there was
he already had that
contract.
Yeah, he had that pot padded out and decided, well, I'll get permission to have them add Katarina on the. That explains a lot, because I don't want to ruin the Mythmakers, but she doesn't have a big role in the Mythmakers. Yeah, it's literally, from what I remember, she's literally joining them. She helps them out a little bit in the last episode. I won't tell you how because I don't want to spoil that. She helps him out a little bit, and then suddenly she's part of the crew. So it's just it makes total sense now why it happened.
Well, and to go one step further, then, if this was written to be Vicky was from a technologically advanced.
Right. So he had to do some rewriting.
Well, that means that she didn't hit the button accidentally.
She did it on
purpose. If it had been Vicky,
Yeah,
she would have
true.
gone out on purpose.
And so that probably then leads to the fact that Katarina probably did, because he probably utilized.
Just kept the same.
Yeah.
Same
Although
ideas.
there was a lot of line changes because she is very questioning.
Oh, yeah. According to the TARDIS Wiki, there were plans to make Sarah a companion, but Jean Marsh, who was unaware of such plans, didn't want to commit to a series.
That I knew. That one I knew.
Aww.
Spoilers.
I know that one,
The
too.
question is, does she die?
We'll find out.
I guess we will.
Did the Daleks get her?
We'll find out. I guess we will.
Because you know who didn't make it.
Yeah. Her brother.
That was quite a cool revelation too, I think.
It was a bit ham-fisted, I thought, but I appreciated the revelation. I didn't appreciate the execution.
I think it's only ham-fisted in the sense that they really had to, in order to move the plot along, she had to come to grips with that, and she had to accept that the Doctor and Stephen were not lying to her too quickly.
Yeah,
that's I think the only problem is because
that dialogue just felt so clunky.
The more times I've watched it, the better it is. But maybe because I'm rationalizing that, she's kind of coming to grips with reality. But I mean, she's set up as a no nonsense, follow orders type agent, and she truly believes that she's been betrayed, even though it's her brother. She truly believes that he's a traitor, and she can't accept that because she's so used to following orders. This is just, it's like ingrained in her. And I can't remember because I listened to the Defenders, I think, or not Defenders, the Destroyers, the Big Finish stuff. And I can't remember because I think that's set pre this. Well, it has to be. Spoilers. It's set before this, but I can't remember. It seems like she's very militant in that as well. Mm-hmm. So she's obviously, that group of people are very militarized, and so not surprising that she does do it. I think, to me, turning so quickly and being so remorseful so quickly maybe does feel a little bit clunky in that conversation as well. So.
I wonder if there's, and maybe you don't know, maybe they've never gone back and filled it in, but in order for, because she feels betrayed, she believes that she's been betrayed by her brother, and the solution is for her to not really give him a chance to explain, just to kill him off. What kind of relationship did you guys have?
Well, hang on.
And how? Well, this is what I want to know. And how much did? Because she's being given this order from either Mavic Chen or
from Mavic Chen directly. Well, and Waldo or whatever his name. What's the guy's name? Wallace.
Baldy.
Mr. Clean. We'll call him Mr. Clean.
There you go.
So, what kind of relationship did we have with that person in order for her to implicitly trust what was being told there and believe it? I'd really like to delve into that. I think that would be a really fascinating backstory to these two characters, to kind of do a prequel where they're not the fondest. Is that something that happens?
The Guardian of the Galaxy, Guardian of the Solar System, I can't remember what the title actually is, but there's a companion chronicle that really kind of delves into Mavic Chen's control over not only his security forces, but her.
Okay, cool. Because I will say that I agree with you, Keith. I don't think it was handled terribly well. It was quite the revelation.
Oh yeah,
but it was like, what? But if now I'm really okay. I'm invested now. I want more.
So. The cool thing about Sarah Kingdom is there's a couple of maybe there's only one or two. Maybe there's two. Anyway, there's a couple of short stories that were written that are around her time in the space security. Service. Yes. To get and so there's a couple of those short stories. There are obviously the companion chronicles that they've done with her. There's also the Destroyers story that Big Finish did. So there's a lot more Sarah Kingdom out there. I mean, there's not a plethora of it, but there's a lot more out there that we can delve into and kind of drill down, motivations and things like that.
It'd be really cool if we had an infograph for that.
I'll get right on that. Okay. Actually, I think I started one.
I think you did, actually. Sitting there on that pile of things to do with my flux board.
Yeah. So, where was I going with this? Oh, so that's the other thing is that the them getting there, her killing Brett, and the Doctor and Stephen stumbling into this room where they're doing an experiment. Where they're going to send mice over a long distance with molecular dissemination, and they don't even know they're in the room. They're getting ready to do this thing. It's like the perfect timing for chaos, where you got these two guys. They're minding their own business. They're about to make the breakthrough of their lifetime, and suddenly there's two, alleged fugitives in their area, and they've run into this room that they've now pushed the button and sent the mice, thinking they've only sent the mice, and they find out they've sent not only the 2 fugitives, but now a space security service agent as well to some planet somewhere, and they're not sure where it is.
It's the sort of situation where
actually they know where it is. They don't know that it got there safely. Yeah.
It's the sort of situation you can't think about too heavily because they can they recognize that the door opens after the fact, but they didn't recognize the door opening 2 or 3 times before they hit the button.
Well, but to be
or
fair,
as they were hitting the button,
the flashing light on the panel was burned out.
To be fair, the door was open quite frequently, although it was open most of the time. They do close the door when they go into the room. So I can forgive the scientists for thinking, okay,
we're safe.
We must have pushed the button to close that door. Or one or the other thinking, oh, he's already closed the door. But the thing is, it opens one more time and Sarah goes in and it closes again. Because when Mr. Clean and the other guy come, the security guys, they're like banging on the door because they can't get in.
Yeah.
And I think at that time, maybe the door opens and closes, but then
somehow they open the door and then they recognize that it opens.
Maybe they put the lock on. And the lock has to be engaged, and that's why they couldn't get in there, all right? And so then, as the experiment goes, the door's locked down. So it doesn't matter how many times it opens and closes, they don't care. As long as they see a red light on the thing that says the door's locked down when we do the experiment. So as soon as the experiment's done, it auto-unlocks, and of course then, those guys run and say, there's nobody in here. So I think you're giving them, I think maybe I'm giving them a little too
Glenn's
leeway.
Really reaching. But
and considering they're transmatting people and mice to a distant planets, they don't have CC cameras to make sure they disappear.
That's the interesting thing. Why can't we see inside the room? Yeah, exactly. Maybe the CC camera would have disappeared with them.
I could get
Maybe
that.
It's anything in that room.
Okay, 2-way mirror. 1-way mirror, so you can, put a camera in that way so you can monitor it disappear.
I think we're being a little too nitpicky about this.
I'm not even convinced that these guys knew where it was going, because the first explanation is, I don't know, we sent them to some faraway planet.
That's true. They never say the name of the planet.
Well, it's not until later Mavic Chen says, or Baldy, he says, tell them you sent them to Mirror on purpose.
Yeah.
I was like, well, how do you guys know where they went? Because these guys don't.
Yeah. And you presume, though, that they've sent something through before. They just hadn't sent mice, because they said they've been observing the planet and they didn't see any creatures, that it was lifeless. And there's obviously a reason why they didn't see the creatures, because the creatures here are invisible.
Oh, well, there you go. That's why there's no CCT camera, because on the first experiment, the camera got sent to Mira, and it's still transmitting.
It's still transmitting.
And they went, well, crap, we can't have a camera in the room.
But the good news is, we can see that the planet is uninhabited.
All I could think of was Wonka. Where are they? I don't know. They're out there in a million pieces somewhere.
So, I had seen this clip of the doctor going,
oh yeah, the smiley
so many times. It's a disturbing look, a freaky smile on the doctor's face as he's spinning his head around like he's, I don't know, drunk or high or stoned or something. And I'd always seen that clip, and I was, what is that from? What is that? And until I finally saw this, and I was like, oh, okay. In context, it's a little better, but it's still disturbing. It's a bit weird. I mean, at least Sarah, and Stephen they have their eyes closed.
They can
just
sell the pain.
Yeah, they kind of roll their head around. And the doctor looks like he's just like,
this is so much fun.
Still a bit disturbing to watch that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the merits of it, I think, though, are cool, because it was a good way to get. It's our heroes running away without running away. You know what I mean? It's not their device that takes them away from the planet and so that is a nice change as well. They didn't just hop in another ship and run away, because how many times have we gone on about how tiresome it gets when the capture escape. Technically, they've never really even been captured. I mean, Sarah kind of captured them.
This is the first one.
At the end of this episode, yeah. But Sarah kind of captures them, but then is thwarted, so she didn't even really capture them. So
I suppose it could even be argued that that's part of the same capture. That she captures them, they get transmatted, and then the Daleks pick them up. So they never actually escaped from the first capture.
Yeah, because they're still with her.
Yeah.
I suppose.
I was thoroughly impressed by the effects they used for the invisible creatures.
Oh, once again, the footprints, man.
The footprints were just so cool.
Except for that one didn't.
Yeah, the one didn't go
Yeah,
off.
the one didn't go off. And I thought, my first thought was, oh, the director's going, oh, it'll take us too much time and too much money to reshoot that. Just keep going.
He just took a big step.
No, you hear it go, but you don't see it fall.
I could hear that conversation. I could hear the camera operators going, uh-oh. And the guy behind going, just roll. Just keep going. Just keep going. We'll fix it in post.
No, I couldn't fix it in post back then.
There's no way to
it was
do that.
one
Don't
take.
worry about it. Nobody will notice. If the rest of them, if this one doesn't work, oh, it worked. Okay, just keep going.
Yeah. We'll stop and reset if this one. Oh, it's working. Never keep going. Keep going. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But I've always been impressed with invisible footprints.
Yeah, me too.
That's just the coolest effect in the history of cool effects.
Best part of
and so simple.
I don't want to know.
You guys are so.
I'm sure.
Best
I could
part
look
of
it up.
Paranormal Activity, that found footage film.
I never saw that one.
Yeah, they have a really cool version of that.
Yeah, Invisible Man or Forbidden Planet, or it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. I don't want to know how it's done because I sit there and just go, wow.
There's an invisible
I'm
creature.
going to go to Sean's house. I'm going to set up this contraption that does that, and he's going to walk in. There's going to be sand all over the floor, and he's going to go, "What is this?" And then suddenly little footsteps will go.
I'd
in his
flip.
house.
He'd take his cane and start
What
beating
sort
the
of
air.
sorcery is this?
If I had that device, I would use it.
It's
like,
funny.
all the time.
You
because-
as an aspiring filmmaker was never interested enough to go look up.
Oh, I'm
how
very
they do
interested,
that?
but for the same reason that the tornado in The Wizard of Oz is hands down the greatest special effect ever put on film.
You don't know how they did that?
I don't know how I did it.
Oh.
I suspect I know how.
Oh,
they
I
did
could
it.
ruin so
But
much
I
of his
don't-
life.
I don't want to know because in that instance, as with the footprints, the magic of it is more important to me. I can still suspend my disbelief, even though there's a portion of my brain that goes, "I think I know." I don't care. I don't want to know.
See that.
I'm invested in this because
I'm invested.
it's amazing.
I'm invested in the magic in the moment, and then after that, then it's the how did they do that? How would I do
See,
that?
normally I would be, but for some reason with those two things, it's like I'm afraid that the moment I figure out how they did it,
You're gonna see them do it.
then it won't be magical for me anymore.
You don't want to pull the curtain away and see the man behind
Nope,
the curtain.
I don't want to see the man behind the curtain in that instance. Everything else, I've watched every documentary on Star Wars, how they did everything. But for those two particular things, I don't want to know.
Well, I won't ruin the footprints for you then, Sean.
Like I said, I suspect that somewhere back here I figured it out, but I don't. Nope. Not
Something
listening.
something that I recognize, and I wanted to go back and look at this, but I was reading this week, and maybe it's because we watched the animated version, and maybe they took some liberties and did it. But maybe you'll know, or maybe you'll remember. I was reading that the council from Mission to the Unknown not all of them are the same. They used some different costumes, and they changed a few characters apparently from Mission
See, I thought
to the first episode.
added more than anything else.
I think there's a few more, but I think there's one that's no longer there, and makeup was done differently for another.
Oh.
So, yeah. In
The
fact,
stone guy, I think, was not
the stone
in
guy.
this one.
Well, I think
Right.
the interesting thing about it is what I noticed was the guy with the tentacles that I didn't see. I mean, I
yeah,
knew he
the-
had.
the
It was
pointy
the same
teeth
guy.
ones?
Yeah, the pointy teeth guy. He suddenly had tentacles in one of these. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay. Well,
So that's where the cartoon or the animators got the idea.
I was just commenting last week that in the comic book he has tentacles, but I'm saying tentacles, one of the scraggly things on his face.
Yeah, call them
But
tentacles.
he has them in one of the episodes of this as well. So.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason for it. Then is maybe the animators. Maybe he didn't actually have them in the recon, but he had them later. So the animators are
Went ahead and added them.
retconning that to make it match up.
Or there just wasn't good enough shots because it was a reconstruction that those images were from.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think we've
There
seen
wasn't
him live action
Right.
at all.
So
I
who
don't think we've
knows?
seen that character.
Maybe the pictures just didn't pick them up well enough.
Could be.
Although, and then this time they did.
Could be.
I mean,
well, to be fair too, is there are very few images from this. Well, there's enough, but what loose canon has always done is they've always done a copy and paste of things. So there will be images of people or characters from other scenes cut out and put into another scene in order to fulfill. I can see
some of the photoshopping.
Yeah, and that's what they've done.
Which I appreciate.
Which
the fact that there's
surprisingly was done before Photoshop.
Oh wow!
and their pseudo animated Daleks.
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So
those almost look CG animated.
That's what I like about loose canon is they really kind of put a little extra into it, knowing that this is just this is a slideshow. Let's do a little bit of embellishing so that it doesn't quite come off as dry as it could be. So you guys are still enjoying it, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good. And
definitely.
The comic, I think, still is doing a very good job of
capturing the essence of the story.
And not cutting hardly anything out. Because there's obviously some dialogue that's been cut occasionally. But for the most part, it's everything that's going on. You don't lose anything in the comic.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep, very very much so. And even the joke early with Katarina, it's like what do you mean? Oh yeah, well she doesn't get it. She helps us out in Troy. Troy? Yeah. I was just gonna leave it at that, but I was surprised that made it.
They went there with it, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do we got coming up on the schedule, Sean?
Well, coming up on the schedule, our part 3 happens next week with episodes 6, 7, and 8, which is Coronas of the Sun, The Feast of Stephen, and Volcano. Now, we will be doing the loose canon reconstructions of episodes 6 and 8, and then an amateur animated production of The Feast of Stephen.
And I will warn you now, it was made with off-the-shelf software. It is not near the quality of Ian Levine's production of Mission of the Unknown. It is passable at best. But I really, because we don't have any moving picture episodes in this block that we've blocked out, 6 through 8, I kind of feel like this will be the way to break that up for you guys. If you won't get tired of a dry run of stills. The other thing, which Keith may even still do this, is watch the recon because there is a reconstruction.
I think I'm going to.
That particular story, The Feast of Stephen, I believe, is left out of the comic series, so you'll only have 2 comics this week.
Okay, I wondered why the count number was off.
Feast of Stephen is the quote-unquote Christmas episode. It's the one that aired on Christmas Day. So in order to knowing that they may not have a lot of people watching, they broke away from the story is what they did. But they did it in such a clever way that it's still going on. They're still being chased by the Daleks, but they end up setting down somewhere else. Some antics happen, and then we get right back into it the week after. So it may feel a little disjointed, but I think you'll be best off watching the animation too, because the second part of it has a lot of action that's happening that you hear chaos, but you don't know what's going on. And I think that the animation does a pretty good job of filling that in. There's a lot of slapstick antics that are happening. I'll just say because they land on a movie set. And so I remember listening to this and going, I have no idea what's going on for half of this because you just really can't tell. There's a little bit of narration there that helps you along. But so that's the reason for the very amateurish. Although, to give him credit, it's probably some guy that sit down and did it on his computer. And when I look at it from that perspective, I think, well, thank you for doing that. That was, at least very much I should find out who this guy is. I've never been able to. I found the YouTube clip, and I don't think I've seen it since. So, but luckily we have a copy of it. So,
we should do that. We should just get some off-the-shelf animation software and just do all of the missing episodes on our own.
Good luck with that. I am not an animator.
I'm not either, but how hard can it be? The software comes in a box.
Famous last words. How hard can it be? We just lost all of our animator listeners.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how hard it'll be. So that's what we've got on the schedule for next week. All right. Well, anything else we need to cover this time, guys?
I'm still enjoying also listening to it, the audiobook.
And that's narrated by Peter Purvis?
I believe so. I was just about to go look that up.
I couldn't remember for sure, but I think that is.
It sounds like him,
yeah.
But they haven't said.
All right, very good. Well, that's going to do it for this time. Until next time, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.